Hey everyone, welcome again to another podcast of the Good People podcast. And today we have the Dante Nino from Tiello. So Dante, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Really excited to have you on. First of all, you are absolutely LinkedIn famous with the number of followers you guys have. So it's an honor.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Dante, I wanted to kind of jump into your background a little bit in construction, as well as your journey with owning your own business with Tiello, one of the, if not the leading recruiting firms in the AEC space. Give us a little background on yourself and background on Tiello as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, well, funny enough, I actually started in the construction industry. My family owns a high-end residential company. We do a lot of GC work. Marble and tile. Had been working there since I was 15, pouring concrete, cutting tile. So I always knew that I was going to be in construction. I just didn't really know what the aspect would be. And once college came around and I was going to graduate, I they kind of told me if I want to join the company, kind of lead the company in the future, but I kind of want to do my own thing. It's like, hey, I'm just going to explore, do something else. And funny enough, ended up I ended up in a job doing recruiting for Aerotech,
Oh,
one
nice.
of the largest, recruiting firms in the world, I would say. And they put me on the commercial side and engineering side because that's where they need the best, and I could communicate with people. And I quickly realized that I was pretty good at it, not only because I knew what they were doing, but because I could connect with them. Being in the construction industry, people are different, people are transparent, and they get straight to the chase. And realized that that was a good thing for us, and kind of did that for 2 years. Then went to the corporate side as well too. Did corporate recruiting, and I realized that I was saving my company a lot of money with the amount of hires I was bringing them. So that's when my roommate and I, Simon, kind of decided to launch our own recruiting firm, tailor in the construction industry. Hey, and kind of tailor it more by bringing in construction professionals that are willing to learn that sales side and recruiting side,
Yeah.
and kind of putting them out there. So reverse engineering the process, and that's how we came about Tiello. Now we kind of have a slogan called uh, "Recruiting for construction professionals by construction professionals."
Nice. No, and that tagline and everything is very, very forward, and the brand is amazing. Question for you is, when you mentioned college and things like that. So for that, was there ever a debate right now a big debate is for people that want to be in the construction industry, whether college is relevant or even in general, whether college is relevant in a high, level conversation overall. For you, has that ever been was there ever a debate before from high school to college and things like that?
No, I mean, coming from a family that does skilled trades in the construction side, it's like, hey, we ideally want you to go to college, maybe pursue engineering or a lawyer, whatever it is. But my parents didn't really enforce it as long as I was doing something.
Yeah.
And now that I go back to it, I learned a few things in college. I didn't really learn a lot, to be honest. I got a finance
Oh,
degree
nice.
because I wanted to be a stockbroker or something else. But what I learned in college and what I do like about college is that you learn about time management. You learn about meeting deadlines. You learn about kind of working with other people and connecting with people. You learn how to be a good employee,
Right.
and it's good. But I think for anyone looking to get into college because uh, they want to do something like that, I think it differs. Right now, you could kind of do anything. And if I have kids, and whenever I do have kids, if they want to go to college, great. But if they don't, skill trades is there. It's a great opportunity. It's growing, and there's a lot of opportunity there, even though there's not many people going into it right now.
Right, right. That's interesting. And so, for you in college, did you, and even in your entrepreneurial attitude, is that something that you think, looking back on it, would you say you were born with, or is that something that was cultivated in you with different jobs and things like that? Like, what was a driving force, I guess, that led you to being like, you know what, I'm just going to do this thing on my own, whatever it is, and see where I can get with it.
I mean, my family came from an entrepreneurial background. I grew up in that, so I knew I always wanted to do something on my own. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
College kind of helped me. I went off to college, like, oh, well, I'll get a job, I'll land something and try to figure things out. And if not, worst case scenario, I go back to my parents and try to work there. But I just wanted to dabble something and do something on my own. So I knew going into college I wanted to do that. Then after that, yeah, luckily I ended up in recruiting. No one really goes into recruiting say, "Hey, I grew up and went to college because I wanted to be a
Right,
recruiter."
right.
Everyone kind of just lands in it, and that's what happened with me too.
No, that's great. And so for you, just how's 2023 been? I mean, what have been some of your biggest surprises so far this year?
2023 has been a good year. I think now we're at a growth stage with our company here. So trying to bring in more people, mold them, and train them has been challenging,
Hmm.
just because different sectors are busy, different sectors are not. But I would say 2023 has been a year for us that we kind of diverse more into the AEC. We've been working with mostly general contractors
Hmm.
over the last 2 3 years, and now we're working with steel companies. We're working with manufacturers, light industrial companies, and so on. And I think just going into those new markets has been a growth stage for us.
Nice.
But overall, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work out there, and the most challenging part is finding good people, good recruiters here
Yeah.
to help us expand and so on.
So, for example, with your experience with Aerotech and then being corporate recruiting and now leading your own firm, how are you solving that challenge of, let's say, either you hire out, right? You bring in recruiters from outside and you hire them, or you grow your own. Have you, have you seen one or the other always work out better, or is it pretty much a balance in terms of, because we go through the same thing and it's
Yeah.
always a debate in the office. And I was curious to get your insight on homegrown versus hiring, bringing in a hired gun, if you will, from another firm.
Mhm.
Has one been overwhelmingly better for you guys?
That's a good question because we're in the middle of that.
Okay.
We brought in two recruiters that had 5 years and 7 years at the same firm. They came in and they are killing it. They're going to have the best years, but and they were moldable to our company as well too.
Yeah.
And they didn't come. I feel like a lot of recruiters come with their own ways
Right.
and they're not too open to change.
Yeah.
And we've had a few of those that kind of just turned over or kind of left, and which was a learning point for us as well too. But then again, you could bring in some junior recruiters, some people fresh out of college who are moldable, willing to work hard, and they tend to be more loyal because you gave them an opportunity, you invested in them, and now they will stick around here for the next 3 to 5 years. And we have a few of those right now.
Yeah.
But that does come with a challenge because the first 3 to 6 months, it's going to be a lot of investment.
Right.
And even then, some of them will not make it because recruiting is hard.
Yeah.
The first year, you're probably not seeing anything. Second and third year, you're seeing some success there. So I would say right now, what we're doing is we're trying to bring one of each.
Okay.
So one junior recruiter, one experienced recruiter, and kind of have them go at it and see who it is. But right now, it's just more volume interviewing. Just like companies interview, we're interviewing like 10, 15 people a week,
Nice.
and it's a lot of work for me and my business partner, but I think it's necessary, especially if you want to find the right people and you don't want to have too much turnover right now.
And for you as an owner, how often are you finding yourself working in the business versus on the business? Like that's always another dichotomy, right? Building it, but
Yeah.
also is that a challenge for you? And overall, like how often are you finding yourself working doing client related work versus building out the bigger plan for Tiello?
Yeah, no, that's a challenge for every owner. I feel like, and a lot of owners stick there longer. Some owners learn how to delegate and trust their people. I would say the first 2 to 3 years, it was just all hands in. I was billing, I was making calls, whatever it is, and then running the business as well too.
Hmm.
But now we've trained some pretty good people. We brought in some good leaders as well too that were able to delegate that work. But you still have to come on board here and there in case there's any emergency like that too. But it took about 2 to 3 years to kind of get that going. Now, I don't do any. I don't really do much recruiting unless I need to step in for one of my clients that has been there for the last 2 to 3 years that they really need me and want me to recruit on.
Right.
And as far as business development, I haven't done any business development since March of 2020,
Nice.
and that's all because I get a lot of inbound leads
Okay.
from the content and from what I'm putting out there, and also too just from delivering, being able to deliver with some good clients and some strong referrals as well.
And so for you guys, Tiello specializes in what is the specialty in terms of model? Is it uh, like executive recruiting? Is that the specialty or contract to hire model, or what is that specialty?
So we only do direct placements,
Okay.
anything from your project engineering role, 1 or 2 years of experience, all the way to your executive role,
Okay.
VP, to even president levels.
Hmm.
Our average placements around 120,000,
Okay.
um, and that's what we keep around there.
Nice. Okay. So it's kind of and typically it's a little bit more longer term search in the sense, especially for the higher level positions, because I'm assuming big companies come to you and say, hey, here's a kind of VP level that we're looking for. Obviously we know they're not sitting at home looking for a job, so we really
Yeah,
want to find the right fit.
yeah. It depends on the client as well too. If a client's looking for an executive search, that's going to be that high priority, especially on the on the executive VP level. That's going to be more of a retained search,
Okay.
and it's gonna have us allocate the right resources for them.
Right.
So it's going to be a little more expensive on the higher end, and we require an upfront investment from them. But yeah, those tend to take longer. It could be anywhere from 2 to 6 months. I've had one for 6 months, and it was a president for a $350 million company,
Wow.
and they had to work out stock options, they had to work equity in the company, they had to go through lawyers, so it's a longer process there.
Right, gotcha. And so in that capacity, then, like even going with the roles of project engineers, based on just probably the highest volume you guys have done, project engineers, things like that. Um, when you look at the data in terms of project engineers that do well and things like that, is there some things that stand out to you about something as an entry level role like a project engineer, for example? A lot of time they're being recruited from universities and things like that. What are some of the things that you've seen for recruiting for roles like project engineers that are like KPIs for success and someone's really going to last in the construction industry as a first job?
Yeah. I think we mostly work on project engineer roles that have 1 or 2 years of experience,
Okay.
because companies could get some recent graduates. So we rather do that because it's a little tougher when someone's coming out of college, especially going into a project engineer role. You don't know what to expect. You're out in the field. You're out in the office.
Right.
There's a Yeah, there's a lot of different things that could happen there. So I think with our clients, like right now, we're working on like 7 or 8 project engineer roles, and they're all between 3 to 6 years of experience. And those are perfect because those people have gotten 2 to 3 years at the same company, or maybe switched around once,
Mhm.
and now they want to explore that senior level or an opportunity for more pay,
Right.
which
Right.
companies do offer that. And that's a perfect selling point for some people that are not necessarily looking for a job right now, but could be persuaded if they were interested in that.
Right. Got it. And so for you, you mentioned obviously, family has a construction firm and high end residential. If you were starting a construction firm today with the goal of building it out to 100 plus million in 3 to 5 years, et cetera, based on everything that you've seen, what would be the first position you'd be like, we need to hire this role right out of the gate, in the first 90 days? Like what would that position be for you?
I think it comes back to the owner or who the leader
Hmm.
is. You have to look at what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are.
Hmm.
And me personally, the financial side of the business, keeping track of invoices, keeping track of, even for construction, for sending out invoices, estimating everything like that would be something that I would struggle with. I think managing people, the operations side, is something that I more strive in. So I would say finding a leader that could help me on the financial side, maybe a VP of estimating,
Okay.
maybe an estimator that could kind of handle all those financials, and I could handle the more of the operational side, finding people on the field, finding the superintendent, project manager, and so on.
Right.
But I think having another leader in your company when you're starting off is that kind of offsets what your weaknesses are, is definitely crucial.
Nice.
And I always tell clients as well too. Well, if you're looking to grow here, I mean, what is that office missing?
Yeah.
Is it someone that's on the business development side just to grow that part of the side of the business, or is it someone more on the operational side that you need?
Right. And so for you with your partner, did you know that early on? Like, hey, we should start something together, or how did that? Because partnerships are always such a interesting thing, right? Like it can sometimes go well, sometimes not so much. but especially starting something together can be so special in being able to have someone you can kind of rely on and start something together with. For you and
Yeah.
your you mentioned partner, is that did you guys know early on that hey we should do something together, or is it kind of like how did that come about?
It's funny because we were roommates and we'd come home every day, and it's like, do we want to do this for 30 years?
Oh, that's awesome.
We were like, what should we do? So we tried a few things, trading stocks. We tried opening a hot dog stand and a couple other things. It wasn't recruiting at first,
Yeah,
and everything kind of came back to recruiting. Um, but he was always stronger on the sales side, and he's good with sales. He doesn't mind making 100 calls. He's good on the financial side because he had an accounting degree and he was a commodity salesman.
nice.
And he didn't have any recruiting background. I was more on the recruiting side. I like building relationships. I like the building out teams. I like training and development. So it just kind of worked out for us. And was like, hey, well, you focus on bringing in new business. I focus on recruiting,
Yeah,
and we kind of balance each other out. And it kind of worked that way now.
that's
So now he's more of the VP of sales and business development within our company.
yeah.
I'm more in charge of recruiting and fulfillment here within Tiello.
Nice, nice. No, that's great. And so for you then, if you were, kind of building out for your brand as well as obviously Tiello, um, in addition, what you mentioned about the hiring of number one, it sounds like self awareness is number one, right? As an owner, knowing what you're good at, knowing where you need the help, and then making the move on that. In a similar type of capacity, from a high level in helping companies understand the whole talent acquisition versus HR sort of dichotomy, right? One of the questions that I like to ask is sort of if you were writing the book about your industry, let's say how to recruit top talent, and online, I'm sure we follow a lot of similar personalities, Hormozy and things like that. And it seems like the
Mhm.
game is everyone starts off, after a certain amount of clout, they start off and write the book on whatever they're trying to pitch, right? So if you were writing a book for construction companies, AEC companies on how to build that talent and build that out as an organization, what would that first chapter look like? What would be the first thing that you would start with where it's like if you got to start here, that sets the foundation for everything else.
Yeah, I would say it's something like what we just talked about. Is like figure out your strengths, figure out your weaknesses,
Yeah,
and kind of build up on that because I think that's very crucial, especially when you're starting your own company. I mean, even on the construction side, I know a lot of people that hey, I'm really good at the business development side. Like I know how to bring in business, but do I know how to do the back end of the work?
right.
No. Then hey, figure that out. Find someone that could kind of help you there, and so on. And a lot of people get stuck between giving equity within a company or anything like that. I would say finding a true good partnership takes time, and you're going to learn the hard way sometimes.
Right.
But I always tell people if you're looking to do a partnership, hey, do it for 6 months, pay them whatever they want, whatever they need. And if it works out after 6 months and you guys define each other's roles and what you guys need to do, then hey, create a partnership and kind of move on from there. But I would say figure out your strengths, figure out your weaknesses, and hire someone that could help you on the weakness side.
In that same kind of capacity, similarly, common lines that people hear, and both of us on a lot of our projects in the field, the superintendents, whether it's an environmental or emergency response project, whatever it might be, they talk about, this generation, they're just not built for field work. They're just not built out for, and I think every generation has probably had the previous generation make comments like that. For
Yeah.
you, do you think, based on just the number of people that you in your organization, people talk to, things like that, are you seeing a shift in sort of how Gen Z, whatever the other letters are, the most current generation coming out of school, things like that? Are you seeing a big aversion towards traditional industries like AEC?
I do see it. It's an ongoing problem. It might get a little bit worse, but I always think that there's an opportunity there as well too for everyone. Now, I mean, even when I was growing up, we don't have access to TikTok, Instagram, or whatever it is, and now people can make money out just doing that, sitting at home.
Yeah,
So, going thinking about a job in the field, thinking a job about on a construction site is definitely not something that piques someone's interest at a young age. But I feel like there are still a lot of people that kind of are looking for something that could get into a career. And I feel like construction doesn't really have a story out there of what it takes to be in the construction and the potential you could have. I mean, we have people with no degrees making 200,000 because they climbed up the ladder.
Right.
They started on the trades. Now they're leading. Now they're managing. But people don't really see that. They just see people in orange vests and out in the dirt and so on. I feel like if we could do a better job letting people know that there's these type of opportunities and this is how you could get up the ladder, I think we'll be attracting more talent, especially Gen Z, Gen X, whatever it is, coming into the construction side of the business, because there's a lot of opportunity right now, and it's going to get more expensive to hire plumbers, to hire anything like that in the future. And I think, I mean, shoot, even starting your own plumbing company eventually.
Right.
There's just a lot of opportunity there.
Is that something? So, for example, with the like skill trades, you grow up in the skill trades business. For let's say families that maybe the next generation decide to go in the family business. Your perspective is very unique in that you've handled all sorts of recruiting, right? Experiences. Do you think skilled trades can be taught? Like someone that's a skilled trades person, right? Whether it's a tile, finished carpenter, whatever it might be, they have a special touch, right? And we've seen it. Obviously, you've seen it. Do you think that can be taught?
It comes down to the person. I think it's harder to teach grit and harder to teach other perspectives as a person being wanting to learn
Yeah.
than someone being skilled. I think like even right now when we're hiring, like okay, well we're looking for three things: are they tech savvy? Do they have a recruiting and construction side?
Mm,
And do they just want to work? They want to work hard. And if they don't necessarily have the recruiting and construction background, that's our job. But it could be teachable. If someone wants to learn and someone wants to get down and dirty, put in the work, and maybe they're tech savvy, then hey, us take a chance and kind of teach them.
right.
I would rather take someone like that than that doesn't have the grit or the wanting to learn, the wanting to work hard. Because I just think everything could be taught if the person's willing to learn. It's not going to be overnight. There's definitely going to be a learning curve,
Right.
but they could be good people and good employees as well too. So whenever we talk to companies, it's like, hey, like we like this person, junior estimator. We like this junior estimator. We just don't feel like they have the enough estimated experience. And I always come back to like, hey, is it harder to teach that estimating experience, or is it harder to find someone that is willing and wanting to work for your company?
Mm,
And they're like, okay, well, hey, like, well, work something out with them. See if we could kind of bring them on board, and you guys teach them everything. Uh, have a game plan for them. 3 to 6 months is what we expect, and see if they perform. They don't, hey, we would find someone else.
right. Got it. Because that's one thing is we've seen is there's so many in that not enough net new people entering the industry, but there's also quite a parallel industries that um, they have the fundamentals. Let's say they're working in an exterior environment, working in difficult circumstances, and one of the things we always see is that the people at the forefront, the superintendents, the foremen, they don't have the time or the desire based on the pressure they're under to really identify someone that's standing out. Might be general labor, might be a remediation labor, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Could be a great future sort of foreman, whatever, but they kind of grind them down because even the person at the top that's responsible for the project, they don't have the time to have the higher end view of like, oh man, this person's showing up 15 minutes early every day. He's cleaning,
Mhm.
keeping his area clean and meticulous, like little things like that, which would be, ideal scenarios for someone finding someone like that. But when they're right in front of you, you're so caught up with the day to day,
Mhm.
you don't have time to really think about, hey, have you thought about doing this? You're just kind of grinding it
Yeah.
down, you know?
Yeah. I think, especially on the construction side, even smaller trades like mom and pop shops,
Yeah.
they could do a better job investing in their learning
Mhm.
and education, because superintendents and most companies, to be honest, even my family business is like, hey, this is the job, this is how you do it, go do it.
Right.
It's like, well, you know, they don't have someone teaching them, they don't have a kind of game plan for them. This is what it takes, this is why you do it, this is how you close out, kind of like an onboarding process.
Yeah.
uh, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And we see it a lot, and we hear it from some clients, and it's like, hey, like we need to have a better onboarding process for these people. We just can't expect to sign them and send them out to the field. Like let's have something ready for them.
Right. And that in and of itself, I mean, we could probably do a whole episode just on onboarding, right? I mean, for different companies, sectors, industries, and I was actually having a conversation with someone the other day about what does that onboarding process, ideal onboarding
Mhm.
process, really look like? And to your point about opposites, for me as an owner, recently we hired a executive vice president that has 15 years of staffing experience and things like that. And before he came on board, when we used to hire someone new, I used to onboard him in the conference room for 2 hours, and then hand him the phone and say, "Hey, let's start dialing." And then for
Yeah,
him, when he came on board, he's like, "No, no, no, we need like at least a week to make him feel good, another week to show him what the job is." And I'm like, 3 weeks in, and they've barely done anything. He's like, but it's like that's the perspective of like, what do you mean you don't want to scare them the first week? I was like, no, I kind of do want to scare them the first day. Then they're like, and then I was like, this is a sink or swim environment. And he's like, yeah. And most people are sinking, right? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, wow. Like it didn't, we're so used to
yeah,
saying those things, right? And he's like, yeah. And most people are sinking. Like they're not
yeah.
lasting. They're lasting barely a year. And I'm like, okay. I was like, that was like a gut check moment for me because, um, never thought of it that way. In the sense we always think about sink or swim, but then it's like, what happens if everyone's coming in and sinking? Is it everyone's fault or is it my fault? You know,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
onboarding was such a big thing for that.
No, you're completely right, and I've been there myself too. We've just brought in people. Here's how you do it. Go make calls and everything like that. It's like, no, this is not how we do it. So now we even bring in people. They're going to be full desk, getting clients and recruiting, but they're going to be shadowing someone for 30 to 60
Right.
days. And the first week is all training videos. Learn how to use our systems. Learn how to navigate LinkedIn Recruiter, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whatever it is. Then you role play with us. Then you watch us do a search,
Mhm.
and you ask questions and kind of go from there. Because just interviewing, I'm sure you interviewed a lot of recruiters, and they always say that training and development was bad. They just had a bad process, sink or swim, and everyone's like that. I've heard it all the time, and if it's happening in recruiting, it's happening everywhere else as well too.
Right.
So I think having like a great training program and onboarding program makes the biggest difference.
Right.
And it takes time, to be honest. I work on it every 2 3 months, and I'm updating and updating, adding something new, changing something new. Maybe this worked, maybe that didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a yeah, we've all been there.
For you, as your onboarding program sort of develops, are you looking at more like video, or do you believe in like being present, have everyone involved? Like, but it seems like you guys have a lot of remote teams as well. But is there a lot video forward, technology forward in terms of videos and modules and things like that?
Yeah, we use this program called Trainio, and in
Okay.
Trainio we have LinkedIn Recruiter videos, but we also have Loom videos where I record or some of my team records. This is how we do a search. This is how we start a search,
Nice.
and they're all 5 to 15 minutes long, and they're all videos there. So the first day, hey, how are you? This is our onboarding process. This is our mission, our vision. Here are the leaders. Here's who you're going to report to for the financials. Here's who you're going to report to for recruiting help. Now you have 3 4 hours of videos. If you have any questions, ask me. And then at midday, we're going to go over Q&As you have. Then the second half of the day, you're going to go over more videos.
Got it.
Then go wrap up day one. Second day, same thing. Third day, same thing. Fourth and fifth day, we kind of got them going on some shadowing. Um, but it's a lot of videos. It takes time.
Yeah.
It's taking me probably weeks and weekends to make those videos and update them, and but it also saves you time. I mean, just finding good people, having them stick around changes your company.
Right.
And I think not many people take advantage of that. Not many people think it's a priority because they're always in the business and wanting to work, and they feel like they don't have enough hours. But if you invest in that, you're definitely going to be saving a lot of hours
Yeah.
and retention within your team.
And that's a big thing is the retention side. Do you find yourself having a lot of discussions about obviously recruiting is one thing, but also retention strategies of what clients are facing?
One thing that we like to do at Tiello is we like to tell our recruiters to think as business
Hmm.
owners because we are working with business owners. We're looking to grow companies.
Right.
So we don't want to just be sending resumes to them. We want to work as a consultant, which everyone talks about being a consultant, but are you really working as a consultant? So we want to make sure, hey, why are you hiring for the position of growth? Okay, what are your plans for the next 6 to 12 months here? Okay, great. Why did the last person leave your last company? Okay,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing differently so we could change that? Okay, well, you guys are paying below market. This is what other companies are paying. We kind of give them a whole background, and we have our recruiters make sure they do the research and have everything in place. So when we're going to them, they know that we're prepared as well too. We want to be vested in their company. We want to know what their growth plans are. We want to be part of that. I think it's always better to have returning business than get a new business.
Right.
And I think especially when the market's really bad and down, those clients are going to come to you and you're going to get by. But if you're not and you're not building those relationships, you're just looking for the next transaction, you're going to be struggling when the market goes down.
No, that's a good point. In terms of the markets and the cycles, are you based on, let's say, the last 12, 18 months, right, with the interest rates and things like that? Have you seen a measurable impact in the construction sector in general in terms of starts or project getting pushed out and things like that?
On the multifamily side and development side, a little bit
Okay.
just because of interest rates.
Yeah.
Some projects have been on hold, and some projects, some investors have been pulling back on their investments.
Right.
So it's been a little bit slower there. I would say on the heavy civil side and the light industrial space, it's definitely moving. I mean, they even the public projects they've been funded for the next 10 years.
Right.
So as a smaller company, we're able to pivot into those,
Hmm.
and we're going to go nationwide. But overall, the construction industry is still going. Yeah, I know some people, some companies are still struggling, but I mean, we've been able to find different ways to kind of maximize in different areas. And I always think that when the market's down and everything's not into place, we know it's going to go back up. So we want to make sure we hire more people, train them during this period. So once that market comes back up, they're ready to go.
Nice. Talking on the technology side, you were mentioning obviously on onboarding and things like that. Every day we have a new article about AI and how it's good, how it's bad, especially here in the Bay Area. Locally, they always talk about the self-driving cars as a new evil. In San Francisco, Cruise and Waymo. And just yesterday was not funny, but a cruise vehicle that was 100% autonomous hit someone and trapped them under the car for like two
Oh,
hours in San Francisco, right? And then it's like front page news, which it obviously should be, et cetera. For you in recruiting, do you see AI as a asset or a potential threat to the industry that we're in?
I think it could be an asset if you know how to leverage it
Hmm.
the right way. It's going to help maximize people's efficiency during the recruiting process. I think some more of the, I think people are going to be better kind of doing more full cycle. And if they have some technology that could help them schedule meetings, they could help them automate emails, they could help them automate jobs to candidates that they get, they're going to be more effective.
Right.
Now, it could maybe make a dent on the lower end jobs, maybe like invoicing, maybe other things that recruiting coordinators.
Yeah.
It could have some effect there, but I think for businesses, it makes sense if you learn how to leverage it. It could help you.
Nice.
And that's something that we're trying to figure out because we like to think that we're innovative and we're always looking at new ways to automate and make our people more effective. So AI is definitely going to be helping out a lot. I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time now, and I know we had a team professional development on ChatGPT and how to maximize and how to use it.
Nice.
So I don't tell anyone to not use it. It's like, hey, learn how to leverage, learn how to maximize it, and yeah, it will make you more efficient.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. In recently in doing some research on like AI and recruiting, it seems like a lot of like job descriptions, a lot of the initial tasks, the front end tasks that sometimes take recruiting teams a lot of time. Um, but you're right in that sense. Learning how to use a technology like that, learning how to do the prompts specific to your industry, is such a key
Mhm.
thing. That's a big thing. But overall, do you even from your client side have you and overall people have said construction industry is slower to adopt technology and things like that. Have you seen clients talk about it more or ask about it more or even use it more in terms of from the client side? Are you seeing AI being more prominent, or do you think in the AEC space it's still quite a few years out in terms of being sort of quote unquote mainstream?
I think overall construction is like 10 years behind. other sectors of finance and professional service, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're 10 years behind. It's still very old school. We have a lot of baby boomers that are kind of stepping out. But recently, we've been working with some young leaders, maybe the second or third generation that are in their early 30s to mid 40s, that are adapting and are using this technology. I know I had a call with the president recently. They're like a $15 million company. They do steel and TIs, and the owner's around 35 years old because his dad left him the company. Now he's running. It's like, yeah, man, ChatGPT is a life changer. I just do everything to that. Write me a job offer, write me a job description, anything I need. Hey, send an email to this, but make it sound nice, passive aggressively. It just cuts so much time on everything. So I've been seeing people adapt to it.
Yeah.
Um, I still think they have a long way to go. We're still way behind. But there's new tools like, I mean, Procore. There's other things that companies are adapting to. I still see a lot of companies using Excel sheets for on-screen takeoffs, for estimating, anything like that.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, you need to learn how to invest in other tools to get you to that level. So now we're helping those companies bring in people that have that experience with better estimating softwares to kind of help and implement within their company.
Right.
And still not as often as we like to see, but it's happening slowly.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen it's kind of like, especially bringing in the new generation, they want to play with the newest tools, right? The coolest things. And it's kind of like it's always been, and I've seen it in certain industries where they're bringing in the top talent and they're used to using all these cool tools at home. They come in.
Mhm.
It's like this is everything my dad and uncle use. Like, what is going on? You know, and
Yeah,
that's like the initial shock of like you just said. It's like they're using Microsoft Excel. What? Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's just like,
yeah,
come on, man. When you're hanging out with
yeah,
your friends and they're like, what kind of stuff you're working on? Oh, man, Excel spreadsheet. They're like, what? Like, it's 2023, dude. So it's like, that's the other thing is like, kind of sets the tone with how forward thinking your company is.
Mhm.
And I would imagine that also has a big impact on retention and talent to being like, yeah, our company uses the most cutting edge tools.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's some owners are more difficult and to kind of convince on that side, but some are open to it.
Hmm.
And it's gonna take some time to learn and adapt, but I think those that are learning and adapting will be succeeding here in the next 5-10 years.
For you, in talking, thinking about Tiello, and obviously it's been a great growth phase. Um, Talk to us a little bit about you. Obviously, your company is very video forward. Like one of the things I was researching about, it's like everybody is doing videos, has their own video, sort of personal video, things like that. Is that something that you recognize early on as like, hey, this is going to be our differentiator, and kind of double down on it the way you guys have? And if so, how did you get such great absorption within building that culture within your organization of that?
Yeah, and absolutely. I always think you have to lead by example. I was never fond of being out there, putting videos out there, but whenever I looked up companies, they had content, they had marketing, and when I try to look up construction recruiting companies, they're very hard to find. There's not really no one doing videos, no one really getting out there putting stuff like that. It's like, hey, why don't we start it? Why don't we start doing it? And then slowly and surely we started seeing more companies adapting to it and kind of doing it. But
Yeah,
we had the office in Irvine. That's something that I'd have a media team come in maybe once a month and have, hey guys, if you guys want to do videos, 2 to 3 videos each, go in the locker room, go in the room, go in the conference room, and we'll get you recorded, send them out to you.
nice,
I'm personally going to do 10 myself. So if you guys have any questions, you guys need advice, let me know. And they started seeing me as like, hey, I want to do a video too.
nice,
So okay,
nice.
let's do it.
That's awesome.
And I kind of having them adapt to it as well too. But I think it's definitely a powerful tool. Not only on a lot of people think about it as like, hey, are you getting a lot of inbound business and so on, blah blah blah, which is good. But we've been able to attract talent within our company due to that. They see us, they see the type of people we are, they see us out there. It's like, hey, I kind of want to go work there. What are you guys doing? What do you guys do? We've been able to attract some like 3 rock stars in the last 12
That's
months,
awesome.
and that will really bring in 1 point a million plus of business within our company
Wow.
that that is with it that kind of reached out to us.
They
Um,
they saw like a video and then decided it's like, oh, this is cool. Did some research, reached out to you guys.
yeah, the videos and the content as well too. It's like, hey, like I've seen you throw out content there, and I feel like I've learned a few stuff from you. It's like, hey, like, can I learn about Tiello? Are you guys hiring? It's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk. It's like, well, if they think we're providing value by just putting out videos or content, imagine working here, being mentored and advised by someone like us. They're going to be, even more interested to work for us.
Right.
So we always tell construction companies too, it's like, hey, if they see the types of projects, they see the type of work you guys are doing, yeah, it helps with marketing, but look at the type of talent you'll be attracting as well too.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I talk to a candidate, it's like, hey, send them the website, send them another page, see what they have. And if they have a shitty website, then it's kind of hard to sell.
Yeah, it's like from 2003, the first version. They're like, "Hey, we're cutting edge, man." It's like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, it takes time too. A lot of people say, hey, I've been posting for 3, 6 months. I haven't seen any success. Like, hey, I didn't see success for like a year and a half. So, but you have to be consistent. And after that, make sure you're providing value to your audience. Make sure you're uh, give them advice on the lessons you're learning, all the mistakes you've been making. Don't be afraid to tell them your mistakes and how you learn from it, because they will appreciate it and they'll come back to you.
Right. So for you with Tiello, what does the next wave look like in the next 2 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years? What are some things that we can look forward to and we can be excited about?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're hiring like crazy. We're gonna double down, and we're trying to almost triple our team by next year.
Wow.
Uh,
And how big is your
and
team now?
we're at 12 consultants.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
looking to go to like 40 people in the next year?
I think 50 in the next 3 to 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
So we're looking to get to a 50, eight-figure plus company, and kind of become a nationwide leader. I tell everyone that comes in, hey, like we want to be the company known as the, if anyone's looking for engineering roles in the construction, AC, or architecture side, they think about Tiello.
Right.
We're here. We're very thorough on who we want to bring in as a partner to, so we can work with them.
Yeah.
So we're not going to take any client as well too. There's a lot of clients that are bad clients that people just sign up, but we want to be very rigorous on who we bring in, who we partner with. Do we value them? Do we value them? Do we value their mission? Do we want to be with them in the next 3 to 5 years?
Right.
And do they respect us? I think that's something that we kind of hold off on. And I'd rather sign up 5 clients that are good than sign up 50 that we're just throwing everywhere and not really fully committing to them.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So growth, and then you guys are already nationwide, right? Meaning you're handling nationwide deals. So it's kind of like building out the nation. Do you envision them being primarily remote as well? Meaning you're going to hire them nationwide, no matter where they are, kind of thing?
Yeah, we're hiring everyone nationwide. We got rid of our office in Irvine in July.
Okay.
After COVID, everything kind of changed, and we realized that people wanted to be remote. People, there was a learning curve
Yeah.
when we brought in people, because remote is different than being in person. We were to teach someone there. They asked questions right away. So there was definitely a learning curve. But I think with COVID, it kind of changed everything. And now even some of our, most of the recruiters that we're hiring right now are not even in California. They're East Coast, and they're in the Midwest.
Okay.
And it kind of broadens our talent pool as well.
That's awesome.
And I think that we're going to stick to that. What we do is we like to meet at least 2 times a year, one in the summer, one in December.
Okay.
We fly everything out to a location, and we stay there for a week. We work, and we just have dinners. We have outings as well too.
Nice. Yeah, that's a whole. I mean, have you found that to be challenging, the remote culture building outside of to keep that day to day vibe and the rhythm,
It
right?
is.
Especially coming from an environment like Aerotech and places like that.
It is. It is. I love my time at Aerotech. We were having pizzas. We were doing everything together. We'd make fun of people when they got hung up on. It was fun. I loved it. But now, going into it, it was a challenge in the beginning. How do we motivate people? How do we build a culture around here? So now we have a lot of competitions. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, and we team up people with people that they don't work with on an ordinary basis.
Mm.
So I might be working with 2 people in North Carolina, and I talk to them maybe on our weekly meetings, but that's it. So now it's like, hey, all right, well, the team with the most submissions this week gets this gift card. The team with the most hires this in a quarter wins a trip here, whatever it is, and it keeps us motivating. It keeps us the culture going. So we always try to get creative that way.
Nice. And so in that same capacity, for owning the firm like you do, Have you ever, do you know what that exit looks like for you in the sense like in this sector? Because that's one of the things that I find interesting is in the staffing recruiting space, especially higher end recruiting like you guys do. Um, there's all these companies at the top, right? Like the Aerotechs and all the ones that have been around for a long time or have acquired and grown. And then
Mhm.
there's a lot of newer 3 to 5 year companies, but there aren't a lot
Yeah.
of middle market companies, at least based on my research, that are just like innovative, cutting edge, things like that. Have you seen that?
No, I know a lot of companies, especially the bigger ones, are always acquiring smaller to mid-sized companies
Right.
that are kind of growing, like ours that are just kind of more innovative, and they're stealing a lot of market share
Yeah.
within that sector. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Um, I wouldn't say this is. I would say, yeah, in the next 3 to 5 years, possibly entertain an exit. But I think, I mean, I'm 29, so I'm still trying to. I
Got
still
a
got
while.
time to kind of figure something out
Yeah.
and work for the next few years. And I definitely see Tiello growing to 100 people potentially. Then after that, kind of figure that out. But that'll take around 10 years.
Right.
But possibly entertain it. I'm very growing up in the construction side. I'm very involved in real estate too. So
Nice.
I buy a lot of properties and I develop them. So I'm looking to build that on the side as well too. But Tiello's always been my main company here.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, Dante, definitely we're coming up to the time. I always like to end the conversations with kind of two of the most kind of things that you want to leave the audience with, whether it's advice, whether it's quotes, whatever it might be. So for our audience, that's relatively broad. What would be two things that you would want them to kind of walk away from this conversation with, as like the summary or kind of the key points in our conversation today?
Yeah, of course. I think especially growing a company and building out teams, finding people is the hardest thing. And you're going to have to go through a lot of interviews, a lot of people to kind of find the right person. And if you're hiring a recruitment company, it is going to be expensive, but it will save you time. It will save you money if you find the right person. So make sure you interview the right partner for your firm. And I will say that for recruiters, especially looking to get into recruiting and doing recruiting, it's tough. It's not an easy job. It's an emotional roller coaster. You're gonna have days that you can't sleep. You're gonna have days that people are calling on the weekends, and it is that way. I try not to sugarcoat it, but it's a very rewarding job. You help people land jobs that change their families. You help companies grow from 10 million to 20 million, and you're part of that growth. You feel like you're there. Now I have clients that I've been with for almost 5 years, and they go from 100 million to 200 million, and now they're like, hey, we need to have the next phase. Now they have me on retainers. Now I'm the first guy they call, and I love that. But it takes years.
Yeah.
It takes years to kind of build that. So I would say be consistent, and if you're growing your company, hire the right people, and it's going to take time.
Nice. Well, Dante, thank you again for really joining us. I know you're extremely busy. You guys are growing fast and everything else. So really appreciate your time, and looking forward to seeing you on the LinkedIn
Yeah,
feed. So keep the videos coming. Thank you again for
yeah,
joining us. Really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you, Nick.